Okay, see Lindelof videos. Find an equation of the graph of a trigonometric function. In this case, I just want to reiterate that this is an equation because it's possible to find more than one depending on how you look at this, if you're taking into consideration that there could be a phase shift. So this is not a definitive answer, but this is a very, very defendable answer to your professor. So this is what I did. I looked at this whole thing, and then what I started to do is I started to look at just this section here. I looked for one period of the curve. I was like, you know what, here's a period of the curve right here. Period of the curve right there. And any period of the curve will work. So just to have that set, but I usually choose the one nearest to the origin. So I chose this period to look at. I decided that I believe this is a cosine curve. So I'm starting out with this basic template that says this, that y, the standard form of a cosine function, is y is equal to a times cosine omega x. There is phase shift in here that we could take into consideration and a vertical shift, but I don't want to talk about that right this second. I'm just going to put it into this form. So I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, okay, so we have this. I look for the horizontal. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this in order. I'm going to look for the value of a. The value of a is what's the distance from the horizontal line of symmetry to the highest or lowest point. What's the distance? Well, I believe that this is the y-axis. I know this is the y-axis. Therefore, the height from the horizontal line of symmetry to the highest point is 5. The height from the horizontal line of symmetry to the lowest point is also 5. So the amplitude is 5. So say, okay, y is equal to 5 cosine omega x. So we're kind of starting on our way through this. The next thing I'm going to do is this. When we're working from a graph back to an equation, we do exactly the opposite of what we would do. Normally what we do is, if we're going from equation to graph, we try to figure out what the period is. But here we know what the period is. The period is the distance of one cycle. So this goes from 0. This is, from here to here is 2. And then we have 6 here. This is a line of symmetry. We know that trigonometric functions have symmetry. So this is the midpoint here. So 6 plus 2 is 8 divided by 2 is 4. This is 4, so this is 6. This must be, right? This point must be aligned with 8. So we have a period here of 8. So what we would normally do is we'd say, okay, well, the period is equal to 2 pi over omega. And usually we'd have an equation, so we'd plug in omega and we'd find out what the period is. In this case, though, we have the period and we're missing omega. So I'm going to say I know that the period is 8. The distance between 0 and 8 is 8. So the period is 8. And 8 is equal to 2 pi over omega. Now we need to figure out what the hell is omega. So here's omega here. All I'm going to do is a little bit of algebra solving for omega. You can do this any way you want. What I'm going to do is cross multiply and get 8 omega is equal to 2 pi. I'll divide both sides by 8 and get that omega is equal to 2 pi over 8. 2 over 8 is 1/4, so 1/4. And I get that omega is pi fourths. Now all I have to do is sub this into the template that I had started. Template. I hope I'm spelling that right. Into the template. So here's omega here, and here's the omega that I'm missing here. So I take out this omega, and it says here omega is pi fourths. So pi fourths. And here is a defendable equation for this graph. Again, not necessarily the equation, but an equation. This equation is true. It works. So, hope this is helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do. I appreciate you guys. Peace.